Welcome. If you're listening to this, chances are you care about staying active, or you've had a recent reminder of how quickly that can change, often due to pain. Most people don't see it coming. They're coping, carrying on, and doing what they've always done, until one ordinary moment becomes one step too far.
Welcome to the 3 Rules to Stay Active for Life. I'm Gavin, Luggage, a lifestyle medicine professional, osteopath and author. And in this podcast, I'll share a few simple frameworks to help you suffer less pain and feel more confident about your current and future health. Have you ever stood in the aisle of a plane, looked up at the overhead locker and thought, I'm not sure I can get this up there anymore? So I flew to Spain recently for a family holiday and I counted 3 people on the flight out there with different versions of this. One, older lady who looked, had a go, and then decided to just jam it under the seat in front. Another who immediately asked her husband to do it, and another, this time a man, who stood in the aisle looking around until I snapped myself out of observation mode and into super helpful fellow passenger mode. So do you quietly wait for somebody younger to offer? Perhaps you ask for help, or perhaps you've simply started packing lighter. What's interesting is that very few people see this as a health issue. They just think, well, I'm getting older. But putting luggage into the overhead locker isn't really about luggage at all. It's a surprisingly good test of how much physical capacity you have in reserve. To lift a heavy bag safely overhead, you need strength, power, shoulder mobility, trunk stability, grip strength, and just as importantly, a bit of confidence. If any one of those starts to decline, something that used to feel effortless suddenly becomes stressful. And that's why I think airports are fascinating. I am a people watcher. Airports expose weaknesses that everyday life often allows us to hide. One of the biggest changes as we get older is that we gradually lose muscle if we don't challenge it. But perhaps even more importantly, we lose power. You see, they are connected, muscle loss and loss of power, but you can retain power despite slowly losing muscle. Power is simply strength that's produced quickly. If you listen to episode 19, you'll remember we talked about fast twitch muscle fibers and why power declines faster than strength as we age. Putting luggage overhead is a perfect example. You don't slowly place a heavy bag up there. You have to lift it, accelerate it upwards, and then control it as you slide it into place. That is power. If you've lost that ability to generate force quickly, the task suddenly feels much harder, even if you're still reasonably strong. The other thing that changes, as I mentioned, is confidence. Perhaps you worry about hurting your back or your shoulder. Perhaps you're just afraid that you won't cope. So you simply don't trust your body the way you used to. And once confidence starts to disappear, something predictable happens. You stop doing the thing, which means you become even less capable of doing it next time. We're back once again to our first rule: use it or lose it, but don't abuse it. Here's another interesting thing. Most people blame their shoulders or their back, but the shoulder isn't really the problem. Lifting starts from the ground. Your legs generate force, your hips transfer it, your trunk stabilizes your spine, and only then do your shoulders and arms finish the movement. In other words, strong shoulders sitting on a weak body will still struggle. That's why at ActiveX we don't just strengthen shoulders, we build the whole chain. And airports aren't the only place this matters. It's lifting a grandchild into your arms, putting Christmas decorations into the loft, storing boxes on a shelf, lifting bags of compost into the car, putting the shopping away. The suitcase or the overhead luggage isn't really the problem. It simply reveals a capacity that you no longer have. Just like getting out of a chair, getting off the floor, gardening, or climbing a hill on holiday. They're all everyday capacity tests. So, what do? We don't simply avoid lifting things overhead, we train for life. That's why I spend a lot of time teaching hip hinging. It's why we use deadlifts, usually with kettlebells in our case. It's why we do overhead press. It's why we do suitcase carries, better known as a farmer's walk. Each exercise prepares you for something that life will eventually ask you to do. We don't train deadlifts because life contains deadlifts. We train deadlifts because life contains grandchildren, shopping, luggage, and moving furniture occasionally. And we do this training progressively, safely, one step at a time, always adhering to start low and build slow. So next time you're standing in the aircraft aisle, don't think of the luggage as the challenge. Think of it as feedback. It's showing you something about the body you're building. The question isn't, can I lift this today? The better question is, what can I start doing now so that I can still do it 10 years from now? Because building a body you can trust isn't about becoming an athlete. It's about protecting your ability to live the life you want. So ask yourself, what's one small step I could take this week to build a body that I can trust just a little bit more? Okay, until next time, keep building a body you can trust to keep you independent and active for life. If today's episode sparked a shift in how you think about your body or your health, don't try to change everything at once. Choose one small action this week, something that nudges you towards staying active rather than avoiding discomfort. That's how confidence is rebuilt. You'll find further episodes exploring the 3 rules and the habits that matter most, not by doing more, but by doing things better. This program is provided for general information only and should not be taken as medical advice. If you have persistent or worsening symptoms, please seek appropriate medical guidance.